you've written a novel, The Journal of a UFO Investigator, and have a lot of posts about UFOs on your blog. Do you believe in UFOs?
Well, I have to say no, because when people ask that question, they have an idea of what UFOs are. Usually that they're visitors from outer space, small gray men from other galaxies piloting them or something like that. And I absolutely do not believe in UFOs in that sense. In my opinion, UFOs have nothing to do with outer space. They have nothing to do with life on other planets. What they're about is us and our longings and our terrors, particularly the great terror, which is when we face the end of our existence. And I think, yeah, sure, they are alien, but they're alien from in here, where in my opinion, there's enough alienness to fill a universe.
So for you, UFOs are a religious phenomenon?
Yeah, I would think so. That I was a professor of religious studies at the University of North Carolina for many years, and religion has always been my fascination. A lot of people will say, who don't believe in UFOs, will say, oh, well, they're just a religious cult. I take a somewhat different angle, which is that for me, religion is a positive phenomenon. So when I say that UFOs are religious, I mean that to say that they're important, that there's something we need to listen to. There was a Unitarian minister named Forrest Church, the late Forrest Church, who said that the essence of religion is that we're alive and we know we're going to die, and how we cope with that. And I think UFOs are one of the ways we cope with that.
You certainly grew up as a child with a fascination of UFOs, and so was it kind of part of your personal religion growing up?
I wouldn't have told you that. I would have said there was an enormous distinction. I became a UFO investigator, a ufologist we used to call it, in 1960 when I was 12, going on 13. Not coincidentally, right about the time I was supposed to have my bar mitzvah. It's only when I look back on myself and what UFOs meant to me that I can see, yes, I think UFOs were a religion for me in the best sense. And I've sometimes thought, looking back on my teenage years, that it was UFOs that saved my life.
Well, that's a pretty powerful statement. And then that leads to asking, what is the Journal of a UFO Investigator about, your book?
Well, it's about a teenage boy whose mother is slowly dying, a process that he sees but doesn't quite see. And as that's happening, a story emerges from within him. He doesn't really know where it's coming from. But in that story, he battles the embodiments of death. He discovers the secrets of time and eternity. And he becomes lover to the most desirable girl he can imagine. I guess it's his imagination, but for him it's something more than that. It's a reality that comes from the inside, that's as real as the reality from the outside. And I wrote that book as a story of the interplay of those two realities.
So would you say the book's an autobiography?
Well, when I've been asked that question, I've sometimes said that yes, the car chases, the intergalactic sex, the descent into the netherworld, are all autobiographical, but other parts I kind of made up. Now the reality is that the situation in which Danny Shapiro finds himself, of coping with a mother's coming death, his family's refusal to talk about that, his own loneliness and social isolation, all of these are autobiographical. The story that comes from within him is based on some fantasies and some dreams I had at the time. That I remember, for example, when I was 15 years old, that I dreamed that I was in a big rambling house in the country, kind of like this one actually, attending a meeting of ultra serious teenagers like myself who were interested in exploring the mysteries at the edges of science. One of them was a beautiful blonde in an evening dress. And then I woke up. In the book, Danny doesn't wake up.
That's great. Well, how can they find out more about your blog? What is the website? And how can they locate your book?
The blog is at www.davidhalperin, one word, .net, and there's links on the website to Amazon and to other places where they can get the book.
And how would they find your Facebook page, which you post frequently on?
It would be www.facebook.com/Journal of a UFO Investigator, one word.
Thanks for answering a few questions on it, and look forward to following more on your Facebook page and hearing what's next.
Well, thank you, Martin.